When you're ready.
Hormones increasing, disagreements with parents becoming more frequent, and social circles solidating. The stage of adolescence is one involving complex changes and vital choices. The question I've been set to answer is quite simple. What are some of the largest factors that alter an adolescent's decision-making process? Before being able to accurately understand the information I found on this subject, understanding two main things were key. First, how decisions are made within a person's brain, and second, the difference of decision-making from that of an adult to that of an adolescent. Within the brain, there are two main fundamental processes that occur. First is synaptic pruning, which is the process of removing synapses from the neural networks of the brain and has been considered to be a method of learning. During the developmental stages, or the adolescence of the brain, synaptic pruning helps regulate efficiency and energy conservation within the brain. The area where synaptic pruning begins is in the same area that also controls sensory functions such as vision, located in the very back of the brain, seen here by the red square. As a result of the fact that synaptic pruning begins in the back of the brain, and most maturing aspects of a person, such as complex thoughts and judgments, are located in the front of the brain, researchers have now been led to believe that the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25 for most females, and the age of 27 for most males. The second process that occurs is the strengthening of synaptic connections within the brain. This is the section of the brain that controls thinking, problem solving, and decision making, and is in the prefrontal cortex, located here in the purple, and is located at the frontmost part of the brain. This is also where complex thoughts and judgments are located, as I previously mentioned. The brain is still developing during what is classified as the adolescent stage, described as the beginning of physical puberty to the ending of the teenage years, when one's reached the adult-like level of anatomy, according to a piece written by Catherine Hartley and Leah Somerville in 2015. Next, understanding the difference between adult and adolescent decision-making is key. The main difference is simple. Although adolescents do have almost complete access to all cognitive bases of decision-making that adults do, many are not yet at the average adult life level. Some examples of this could be the weighing of positive and negative feedback from actions and the perspective evaluation in the brain. Now, what are the largest factors that can alter one's decision-making process? Entertainment, such as social media and ad placement, and environment have two of the largest persuasions on the adolescent brain. A piece done by Rachel Monroe in the spring of last year, titled Ultra Fast Fashion is Eating the World, takes a look at the impact entertainment has on the public through the viewpoint of the current fashion industry. Monroe focuses on a YouTube creator, Trisha Paytas' claim to fame in the late 2000s as she grew increasingly more popular by reviewing clothing, particularly those from fast fashion brands such as Boho, Forever 21, and most recently and popular, Zara. She speaks about the targeted ads for young teenage girls, for the newest style of bodysuits to the trending mini dresses. Monroe goes on to say, social media wasn't just a convenient place to advertise, it was also changing how we think about our clothes. Now those companies had access to their target shoppers, not just when they stood below a billboard or in Soho or saw an ad on primetime TV, but in more intimate spaces and at all hours of the day. Although this isn't directly speaking on the subject of adolescents' brain development and the relation to decision making, it gives a great amount of insight into the power of entertainment, media, and advertising has on a person's brain and decision making, especially that of a person whose brain is still developing. Along with entertainment, the environment of an adolescent can play a large part in the decision making process. The people of who they surround themselves with, whether peers or parents, can influence them subconsciously or not. A study done by the Department of Psychology and Neuroscience at the University of North Carolina found that adolescents have a 47.1% probability of making a choice based off of that of a peer instead of a parent, resulting in the conclusion that within at least the range of adolescents, peers don't have a stronger influence than parents, when both parents and peers suggest an option that is different than the adolescent originally had. 65% of the time, adolescents were more likely to stick with their own pre-existing beliefs when their environment presented them with ideas that differed from their own. During the teenage years, you and your peers are experiencing a multitude of changes you are unable to see and recognize. Within our world, entertainment, whether that be through social media and advertising, and one's environment are two of the largest factors in an adolescent's decision-making process.
Thank you. How did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process?
Originally, I wanted to look at the decision-making of three kind of separate groups, of that of children, that of adolescents, and then that of also adults, just to see how it changes throughout our lifetime. But that question was a little too broad to be able to fit into this time, and also to get enough detail for everything. So I decided to focus on just adolescents, as I am one.
Okay, thank you. What additional questions emerged from your research, and why are they important?
I think one of the biggest questions that emerged for me is the difference of, I didn't talk about this in my slides, but I think just the different factors that can weigh in a person's decision making that isn't kind of universal, such factors like gender or race or items such as that. And I think that would be really cool to look more into and kind of get that aspect as well.
Okay, thank you.